There is a small ritual I repeat every time I visit a national park. I find the visitor center, open my passport, check the date, and press a stamp onto the page. It takes only a few seconds. Ink, date, place. But somehow, that small mark can bring back an entire experience. A landscape seen for the first time, an animal appearing at exactly the right moment, a conversation that changed how I understood a place. Even the feeling of standing beneath the night sky, far darker than anything I could see at home. I'm Mega Anhelkar. By training, I'm a PhD chemist, and by profession, I invest in biotech. But outside of work, my true love has always been America's national parks. The landscapes, the wildlife, the night skies, the people, and those small passport stamps that somehow hold entire memories. I have now visited 53 of the country's 63 national parks. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the things I remembered the most were not simply the parks I had visited or the routes I had taken. What stayed with me were the people I met, the stories I heard, and the moments that gave each place its meaning. That realization became the beginning of National Park Stamp Quest. National Park Stamp Quest is not a travel podcast. I will not be telling you where to stay, which trail to hike, or how to complete a national park checklist. Instead, each conversation begins with a place and follows the human story connected to it. Each episode follows the people, memories, wildlife encounters, mysteries and histories, rescue stories, and the quiet moments that make these places stay with us long after we leave. You will hear from rangers, conservationists, writers, photographers, scientists, historians, visitors, and many more. Some episodes begin with a rescue, others begin with a mystery, a lost passport, or a lifetime spent caring for that one extraordinary place. The parks provide the settings, but the conversations often move into something larger. They become stories about responsibility, discovery, humor, survival, loss, service, identity, and the ways a particular landscape can become a part of a person's life. And because every one of those stories need a moment we can return to, the podcast is built around one central idea: the stamp. Sometimes the stamp is literal: ink, date, place pressed into the passport at a visitor center. Other times it's symbolic. It may be a rescue, a realization, or simply a moment a place begins to mean something more. Each episode has its own stamp moment. The podcast launches with Chuck Sams, the 19th director of National Park Service. We talk about conservation, public service, tribal leadership, and the responsibility of caring for America's public lands. You will also hear from Kai Tran, whose love of national parks became inseparable from a passport filled with stamps and memories, and one remarkable story of losing it and eventually finding it again in our episode 2. The next episode will have author and adventurer Mike Bezimick take us beneath Mammoth Cave and into the mysteries, histories, and stories found underground. Liz Crandall reflects on a life shaped by Yellowstone, including the wildlife, people, and seasons that made the park far more than simply a place she visited. And Emily Pennington joins me to talk about her book Feral, her journey through all 63 national parks, and what she learned while moving through those landscapes during a period of profound personal change. Those are only a few of the voices you will hear. New episodes of National Park Stamp Quest will be released every other Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern. You can listen to wherever you get your podcast and watch the episodes on YouTube. On Instagram, I will share clips, guest moments, photographs, and parts of the conversations that may not appear in the final episode. You can also subscribe to Field Notes on Substack for episode updates, additional context, reading recommendations, and stories beyond the recorded conversations. Everything is linked at nationalparkstampquest.com. I created National Park Stamp Quest because every park holds more stories than any one person could ever discover. Some are dramatic, some are funny, and some are quite enough that we may not understand their importance until years later. But each one leaves an imprint. I hope you will join me as we listen for those stories, revisit the places that shaped them, and collect a few stamps along the way. This is National Park Stamp Quest, and I'm your host, Megha Anelkar.